Brian Terrian here. You're about to listen to a conversation with some members of our advocate team here at the Disability Digest about how and why to get your disability start date right. This is the date that you put on your application when you file for disability. Now, getting this correct has an impact on how much back pay you receive when you get approved and when your Medicare starts. And it usually, well, it's usually not the date that you apply, and that's where some people make this unfortunate common mistake. It's typically the date that your conditions prevented you from working, with some exceptions. You can go back further than that, which you'll learn in this conversation. Now, if you are somebody out there that has made this mistake, I encourage you to correct it. Contact Social Security, contact us, contact your representative, contact somebody. Because even 6 months, if you can go back 6 months, it could be an extra $9,000 when you get approved, and your ability to get your Medicare earlier. So enjoy the conversation. I hope you find this helpful. If you know somebody else going through the process, please share the video with them and help them out. Make it a great day. Thanks. I'll
Yeah,
use
thank
an
you.
example. I expect
Uh-huh.
Melody, you could add to this as well. So let's say somebody is in 2019, they stopped working in January of 2019. Okay.
Mhm.
And they applied for disability in May of 2019, and they put their date of disability onset as January of 2019.
Who did? They did, the
The,
applicant
the,
did?
the applicant did. And
Okay.
then they got approved yesterday.
Uh-huh.
So what Social Security is going to determine based on the medical records evidence and residual functional capacity reports, all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
is what was the date that the disability, from a medical perspective, prevented them from working. So
Um,
if they
so if they
stopped
continue to
working
work
in,
even,
pardon me?
okay, if they continue to work even after they were diagnosed and were having issues, it's going to go to the date that they actually apply for disability.
Yeah. So in the
Maybe.
January-May example of 2019, if medically the records supported the January 2019 date, that would be what they would call their onset date of disability, where they would start the approval process.
Okay.
Make sense? Melody, anything to add?
Well, just one thing is that they won't go back any farther than a year and a half from the date they applied.
Right. Okay.
So
A year
if
and a
they,
half. Okay.
yeah, if they apply in November and they say they were disabled 2 years ago, they won't go back
Mm-hmm.
that far.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
They'll go back
so
a year and a
when you
half.
fill, because it's been a long time since I filled out the application, do you put a date? You put a date of the date you say that you were disabled. Is that the date you had to stop working, or when you were diagnosed?
That's a good question, and that's where people make mistake of
I think
putting
this
in the
is what
wrong
happened
date.
with her. The person I'm thinking about, that's what happened. She put in the wrong date,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
she lost like 6 months on top of the 5 months. So she lost almost a year.
So if she lost 6 months, well,
Yeah.
yeah, if her check was
Yeah.
1,500, she lost 9,000 by,
Mhm.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
unfortunate.
Yeah,
So there's
because
no
they
way to
can
go
say they're
back.
disabled and still be working part-time, and Social Security could find that they
Yeah.
are disabled as of the earlier
Oh,
date, but
really?
their
Okay.
benefits would be less.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you're helping someone fill an application out, though, or what date are you telling them to put on there?
Well, so that's part of the interview process when you talk to
Mhm.
somebody about, representing their disability cases. You
So,
should be looking for, well, when did they stop working? Okay, but if you stopped working, as an example I use, in January of 2019, What was 2018 like? Did you have any breaks in your employment there? Was there any breaks
Okay.
that were more than 3 or 6 months? So maybe you go back even further.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you
Okay.
can pick up, like this example we are just talking about, if you can pick up an extra 6 months, then that could be an extra $9,000 for somebody.
Yeah, yeah, that's,
And
yeah, so,
there was a couple, actually two, I think this month that I interviewed where that was an issue because they worked for like 6 weeks
hmm
and then they didn't work for 3 months. And so one of the things I put for DSH or Brian to do is to look at that the income for those months to see if you could find an earlier onset date. Well, if they've worked part-time before that under SGA and it looks like they became disabled before they actually stopped, then you can pull back that onset date and
So
Hmm.
the date that they should use is the date that they had to stop working full time.
pretty
Yeah,
much, yeah.
pretty much. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that's it.
right.